G, so we are here, man. I thank you so much for allowing me to film and do this podcast in the Groomzmen barbershop.
You're welcome.
So we're here today at Groomzmen barbershop. G is the owner of this fabulous establishment in Little 5 Points, right next to Variety Playhouse. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the barbering industry and childhood, growing up in the barbershop and stuff. Let's just dive right into it.
As you know, I'm from Brooklyn. Grew up in a environment where, just being outside was the way to be.
Yeah.
Moms was on drugs, dad was not around, and I spent a lot of time out in the streets. And so the safe space was the barbershop. So I would just be there, and unbeknownst to myself, I was learning. I'm a learner. I learn by just seeing things, and so I sitting in the barbershop for hours on end, I picked up the craft. So going back to when mom was, just doing her thing, she didn't give me the money for the haircuts, and so I used to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I got pretty good at it, and that was my entry into the barbershop world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the barbershop. So tell us about that passion of being. So you say you was outside. I was outside a little bit. Not the new outside, but the outside when we were kids and playing, riding bicycles and things like that, or foot racing. Or in New York, you guys did the fire hydrant where you let the fire hydrant in the water go and things like that.
Yeah.
Y'all did that stuff.
Yeah,
See, in
sure.
VA we didn't do that, but we just ride our bikes and four wheelers and stuff. So anyway, so tell me about that childhood. Your childhood growing up in the barbershop, and what about any barbershop mentors and things? Because the barbershop isn't just a place where you cut hair.
Right.
So what was that for you?
So for me, like I said, just being a kid that didn't have a lot of options in terms of, refuge. Mr. Cherry, his name was. Mr. Cherry was the owner of the barbershop in the neighborhood. And Mr. Cherry, he, for some reason, he took a liking to me. And so he always shared with me a lot of things on just the importance of reading, like reading the newspaper. And so every day when we go in, there'd be the newspaper there. He'd say, hey, pick it up. New York Times, whatever it was, Daily News, pick it up, read it, tell me something about what you read. And so he was very intentional with just sharing just life skills, just stuff that that he knew I would need along my path, on my journey, which is why I kind of made it intentional to bring books into the space, as homage and just paying it forward. A lot of things, man. I learned about everything from sex, politics, drug, like we listen, the barbershop talk. You learn about, pop culture,
anything,
like you learn about it all.
So talk.
Yeah.
So kind of stuff we're doing now.
Yeah.
Tell us about these chairs that we're sitting in.
All right, so Mr. Cherry, he was, like I said, the neighborhood barber. He owned the shop for 30 years before I even got there. And like I said, he allowed me to be in his space daily. And so when he got wind that I was actually like pursuing a career in barbering, he, I guess he took some pride in that, because he knew that, it was because of him that I even had the insight to even try to go for that. So when he decided to retire, he reached out to my family and asked to get in contact with me and asked if I would be interested in taking his chairs. And so naturally, it was a no-brainer, because I understand this is my vocation, and I know these chairs are 100-year-old chairs. These are Emil J. Padars from the 1900s. Like, these are authentic, chairs. They're about 600 pounds a piece. So naturally, I took the chairs, put them in storage, and so when I decided to move to Atlanta, didn't know what I was gonna do, but this thing just kept calling me. It was like, yo, open up a barbershop. And so I had the chairs completely restored. So they looked nothing like this. They were like red. The porcelain was a little bit beige. I had them, like, I pimped my ride. So I had them paint the chairs. And so we restored them. And on the back of the chairs, I don't know if y'all can see that there's some cherries on the back of the chair. And those cherries are symbolic. They represent where I come from. They homage to Mr. Cherry. And it's just, every day I see him and I'm reminded of my story and where I come from.
So having 4 chairs from the actual shop in New York, right? What's one word that would describe the feeling that you feel as you're sitting in this chair or sitting in the chair right now, that's coming from your childhood to now? Like, what's a word or maybe a phrase or something that you feel? Because it's personal.
Just preservation. That's really what comes to mind. Preservation of the culture of barbering. You know, no shade, but a lot of the newness of this culture is like salon suites, which is cool, you know, but the barbershop, you know, is the cornerstone of the community. And this is where men have an opportunity to really be comfortable. Like, this is one of the few places that along your day you can just stop off, even if you're not getting a haircut, and just feel free. You know, so I think, you know, preservation on every front would be the word that come to mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this. So what was the aesthetics of how you got this beautiful shop to look the way it looked? Like, what was the idea and mindset behind it all? Because you got chairs that are over 100 years old. You preserve them. Now they look like they were bought yesterday, which is, they're considered antique, so you preserve that. So how did you find the aesthetic to match this barbershop with these chairs, and why the colors, the scheme of it?
Well, this is my brainchild. I lived with this concept forever. I knew that I always wanted to, cause as a barber, you know, sometimes we get pigeonholed, right? We're known for being the barber in the community, and most times where we live, we only cut a certain type of hair. And it came a point in time when I got bored with doing the same thing, a fade, tape fade, that, you know, it just became this redundancy that I just didn't want to do. So I actually stepped away and thought about how I was going to return. And when I got to Atlanta and I came and I found this neighborhood, I thought, all right, the concept could live here. This is a community that is diverse, and it presented a challenge that I was up for. So the color scheme, if you see, is black and white, and that was intentional. It is because, you know, we wanted to, in a subconscious kind of way, invite everybody of all hues into the space.
Absolutely.
So so that's the motif or the story behind it. If you look around and you see the art, you know, obviously, you know, I'm a black man living in America, but I also wanted to represent the different aspects of the city. So as you see, Evander Holyfield, the Georgia Bulldogs, you know, but then I gotta keep it true to home, Brooklyn Nets.
True.
You know, but yeah, so it was very intentional. You know, I'm an interior designer in my head. You know, I have other spaces, restaurants, juice bar. I'm an entrepreneur, so I have other spaces that I've designed. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with Apartment 4B.
Yeah. Oh.
That's my space. Miss Icy's Kitchen. That's another one of my spaces. So you know, this is kind of like what I do.
What's on your heart? Like, where do you see barbering going in the next 10 years? Because you were a barber. You still cut a little bit now, or? So
it's really friends and family at this point. I'm so busy with running my other operations that I don't have a lot of time to, and then I'm a father. I got 2 boys. So I don't really have a lot of time. I actually should be at swim practice right now.
Oh, well,
but it's love. His mom filling the gaps.
Okay, that's good.
Which is good. But barbering in the next 10 years, what do I see? Man, barbering has changed over the years. It has. You know, there was a time when, you know, like with the advent of social media, like now you got barbers that are celebrities, you know. Like, so where's it going? I think you're gonna see more of the same. I think you're gonna see barbers with like sponsorship deals. You know, I think you'll see barbers with I mean, obviously you see barbers with clippers and different products out. But I think it's just gonna be more elevated and more in your face. I think you're gonna see barbers that they're just gonna shake shit up.
When you went to go find this barbershop, how did you make it the shop, like the vibe, the feel?
Oh, how did I create the energy in this space?
The shop.
The barbershop is an extension of me. You know, it is just who I am, and it's just a outward expression of the thoughts that I have, the ideas that I have, and yeah, it's just my creation. It's just my creativity and personified, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's pretty much how I could explain that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just an outward expression of who I am. Yeah.
I do want to leave you with this though. So, in your how long you been cutting for?
About
Don't tell your age.
telling my age. I mean, it's cool, but I've been cutting hair for at least 30 years.
30 years. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice that you could give the younger you that wants to cut hair to break their way into the industry?
What I would tell my younger self, to study the craft, right? I think education is key in anything that you do. Learn everything there is to know about it. You know, get you a mentor, read some books, you know, whatever it takes, but just learn, educate yourself, because that information is going to be your best friend. It's going to help you through a lot. And then the other thing I would say is, and it's not an easy thing, but you gotta employ some discipline, right? Like, if you really want anything, you gotta have the discipline to do the same thing, even when you don't see results, even when you can't see the end. Like, if you believe, you know, so that's another thing. You gotta believe in it. You gotta believe, and if you do, I think you'll see the, like, if a drop of water just hits a rock over and over and over and over again, it's gonna create a hole in the rock. And I think that, you know, if you just keep with it, you stay with it, you're gonna see the results. So that's what I would tell my younger self. Just learn and then dedicate yourself to it, and it'll happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is episode 1 of Black Barbers Doc at Groomzmen's Barbershop with G. This was fun. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No doubt.
And this wraps the first episode.
Bye.